we would need to have the efficient, feasible, and possible energy solution. So that's why we are inviting you to be with us today.
Cheaper than some widely used fossil fuel-based technologies. Key strategies. Of course, we'll have many other strategies, but I would point out to two key strategies.
So could you share us a bit more on the underdeveloping energy solution and the future technology?
Particularly green hydrogen. The other technology which is emissions-free is nuclear. However, historically, this technology has caused some severe disaster and so is not viewed favorably in most parts of the world.
I believe there are a lot of technologies available in the market, but there are also the differences in the area and the conditions. So all that technologies that we are currently have, could you suggest us a bit more what is the possible and feasible energy solution that can implement it in Thailand?
Thailand has also announced the goal of carbon neutrality by 2050 and also net zero emissions by 2065. In 2023, about 13% of Thailand's power generation came from renewable energy sources, but it is expected to grow to 35% by 2030.
We all know that we have to do it. So in your opinion, what would you think preventing us for the green energy accessibility?
It will require creating an enabling policy environment, and also it requires a significant increase in investment in green technologies.
สวัสดีค่ะทุกท่านกลับมาพบกันอีกครั้งนะคะกับ The Nova Talk EP 11 Alternative and Innovative Energy EP นี้พิเศษมากค่ะเราจะเป็นการสัมภาษณ์นะคะกับสปีกเกอร์หลักของงาน The Nova Symposium ที่เรากำลังจะจัดขึ้นค่ะวันนี้เราได้รับเกียรติจากคุณอานิส ซามานนะคะท่านเป็น Economic Affairs Officer ของ Energy Division ESCAP ค่ะดังนั้นนะคะการสัมภาษณ์พูดคุยกันในวันนี้ขออนุญาตเป็นภาษาอังกฤษนะคะ Good afternoon คุณอานิสThank you for joining us in the Innova Symposium and joining us today. I think we all know that power generation releases a lot of CO2 emission, but no one can live without the power anyway. Otherwise, we would not survive. We would not have the air conditioning system. We would not have the TV. On the previous topic, we have been discussing about the building construction and operation technologies. But to be a real net zero, we would need to have the efficient, feasible, and possible energy solution. So that's why we are inviting you to be with us today.
Yes, sure. Let me first start saying that we are really seeing a global trend in moving away from fossil fuel-based power generation, which we understand is a major source of the greenhouse gas emissions. We also see that new and emerging technologies such as renewable energy technologies are increasingly becoming cost-effective. And in many cases, I would say that they are cheaper than some widely used fossil fuel-based technologies. As we can see, and we also know that wind and solar are already mature technologies. What I mean with it is that they have been in use for last many decades. Recent innovations and research and development are making carbon neutral power generation technologies more efficient. This indicates that we'll probably see an accelerated growth in these technologies. So coming to this kind of green energy and making our transition to net zero, which is the key theme of this conference, I would say that for us to move to the net zero emissions by middle of this century, we'll need to adopt two key strategies. Of course, we'll have many other strategies, but I would point out to two key strategies. The first one is that we will need to decarbonize the power sector. So with this, I can say that we are very fortunate that all the required technologies that we need to make this shift are readily available. One thing, however, we must remember is that energy storage systems will be a kind of must, and it's very important as we accelerate the uptake of renewable energy. Although energy storage systems are still expensive, rapid commercialization is expected to bring down the cost over the next couple of years. There is a good news actually that even with the inclusion of energy storage technologies, wind and solar PV are already cheaper than some fossil fuel-based technologies. This will further improve over the years as we see that the more cost commercialization is happening and the energy storage systems are getting cheaper. The other point I would like to mention is that all energy consumption areas will need to be switched to electric power. This includes the electrification of cooking systems, the heating systems, and of course, the transportation system. These two strategies together will enable us transitioning to net zero emissions. However, we don't need to wait for one to happen for the other to implement. We can make sure that these two strategies can move in parallel to be able to achieve the net zero target by 2050. Thank you.
This is a good news for all of us that now we all know that there are available technologies and there are available and proven technologies also in Thailand about the PV solar panel, wind energy, and also the waste to energy. And I think people might not heard so much about energy storage system, but as Khun Anis already suggested, it might be the key to achieve 100% green energy because sometimes solar cannot produce at night and we still need air conditioning at night. So if we have or we can integrate the solar with the energy storage system, we can fully 100% zero carbon emission, what is one of the key, right?
Yes,
Thank
that
you
is
so much.
correct.
We have heard that all of the innovations we currently have nowadays is not good enough to prevent the rising temperature or the global warming. And I also believe that there are a lot of people try really hard day and night to find the new technologies to help us. So could you share us a bit more on the underdeveloping energy solution and the future technology?
Yeah, thank you again. This is a very interesting question. As I have already mentioned that renewable energy technologies are increasingly becoming cost effective and they are developing fast. So all the renewable technologies that we have today are very effective in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. However, depending on their commercialization possibility and their effectiveness, different countries and different locations are using different technologies. But I would like to say that all technologies have good and bad sides, but some are more challenging than others. For example, if we take the hydrogen as a case, we see that particularly green hydrogen is a promising technology that can offer a wealth of opportunities to reduce emissions, such as through the use of fuel cells. This is likely to bring a radical transformation of the transportation sector compared to the battery electric vehicles that we are talking about today. However, we must remember a few things, particularly when it comes to energy planning. Hydrogen or fuel cell is not an energy generation technology. It's simply an energy carrier, meaning that you can carry energy from one point to the other for later use. Another point I would like to mention is that you will need energy to produce hydrogen. And if we are trying to produce green hydrogen, the power will need to come from renewable energy sources. So what I'm trying to say here is that use of hydrogen is not going to replace renewable energy technologies. Rather, the more we use renewable energy, I would say that rather more we use hydrogen or green hydrogen, the more renewable energy capacity will need to be added. The other technology which is emissions-free is nuclear. However, historically, this technology has caused some severe disaster and so is not viewed favorably in most parts of the world. The good thing is that, and the promising is that a new breed of small modular reactors, which are known as SMRs, is being developed, which is expected to be safer and less exposed to dangers.
The future need technology would be the renewable energy to produce the power generation without the carbon emission. And also there are technology that is as Kun Anis suggested, is just the carrier to transport the energy from one place to another. And also the future the power generation technology might be a nuclear. People have heard the bad side of the nuclear, but now people are trying really hard to try to develop the smaller scale of the nuclear with the safer to be used as maybe in the household or in the building. I believe there are a lot of technologies available in the market, but there are also the differences in the area and the conditions. So all of that technologies that we are currently have, could you suggest us a bit more? What is the possible and feasible energy solution that can implement it in Thailand?
Yeah, that's a very interesting, and because we are in Thailand, so it is our very important area to discuss. I would like to say that Thailand has been progressing extremely well in relation to sustainable energy transition. And I would say that it's leading by examples in this region with ambitious targets on renewable energy as well as energy efficiency. Thailand has also announced the goal of carbon neutrality by 2050 and also net zero emissions by 2065. In terms of technologies, let me just bring in an example. The SDG 7 roadmap for Thailand estimates that in 2023, about 13% of Thailand's power generation came from renewable energy sources, but it is expected to grow to 35% by 2030. We'll see that the key growth will happen in solar PV, followed by wind and waste to energy. Biomass capacity will also grow, but to a lesser extent. In addition to ground-mounted utility-scale solar PV, we'll also see that floating solar PV and rooftop solar PV will also be very important to accommodate this growth for Thailand. So this is a kind of overall idea or overall overview of Thailand's energy technologies that will make it transitioning to carbon neutrality as well as net zero emissions by 2065. Thanks.
I'm really surprised to know that Thailand renewable energy has grown from, you said 13% to 35% is almost 3 times, just within the 7 years. So
Yes.
I think we are getting there. So, and I believe Thailand has the high potential on the solar power production because we normally have the high sun intensity all year long.
Absolutely.
And it's also very interesting to know that beyond or besides the solar power generation, we still have opportunity to do the wind and also waste to energy, right? So
Exactly.
This is very interesting. I think we all know that green energy is zero or nearly zero carbon emission. And we all know that we really need the new technology that reduce the carbon. On the COP27, COP28, people are talking about the green solution. We all know that we have to do it. So in your opinion, what would you think preventing us for the green energy accessibility?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Before I go into what is not working in Thailand, I would also like to first start with the fact that ESCAP recently developed SDG 7 roadmap for Thailand. It is still to be published, but the results actually indicate that Thailand is actually way forward. I mean, it's progressing very well towards the achievement of SDG 7 targets by 2030. And also it will achieve its own targets, which are different to SDG 7 targets for renewable energy and energy efficiency. However, we must understand and recognize that achieving carbon neutrality by 2050 and net zero by 2065 holds a big challenge for Thailand. It will require concerted efforts from all stakeholders. It will require creating an enabling policy environment, and also it requires a significant increase in investment in green technologies. Fortunately, Thailand is making a good progress in this direction. However, Thailand will need to focus on ensuring greater flow of investment to enable the growth of renewable energy technologies. We know that the public funding is not adequate to make the transition, which requires a huge amount of investment. So Thailand will need to create conducive policy framework to encourage private sectors to come forward and to finance the renewable energy-based power generation. Additionally, cooperation with neighboring countries will also be essential to leverage shared resources and capacities. Another thing is that the collaboration with international and intergovernmental organizations such as ESCAP can be a useful strategy to facilitate knowledge and capacity exchanges. We all need to work together to make the green energy transformation plan into a reality. So it's not only the policymakers, but every one of us will need to work together to achieve this goal of carbon neutrality and net zero emissions. Thank you.
Yes, I believe this financing and investment is the key of every development, not just only the green energy or green technology. But fortunately, in the green fund is already a global policy. So I believe there are a lot of green fund available in the market. But we need to try to get the accessibility to those of fund, and including the collaboration with the neighbors to try to be develop together. I love this topic. So the last topic would be, if you have a magic wand, what would you do?
That's very interesting. It's not practical, we all know, but it's good to think that if I would ever have a magic wand, I can do many things actually. I can do whatever I want, of course, in relation to making the energy transition faster. But one thing that is coming to my mind at this point of time is that I'll probably make the research and development progress of renewable energy technologies much faster, so that the efficiencies of these technologies increase at a greater pace. This will make the technologies more cost-effective when compared to the fossil fuel counterparts. For example, if we can double the efficiency of solar PV to 50%, we won't need any particular policy. I mean, the market itself will drive the growth of solar photovoltaic, and the green energy transition will happen much faster than expected. Many people will probably do in a different way if they have magic wand, but I would really like to solve the problem at the bottom, so that everything upward actually takes its own pace. Thank you.
Thank you, Khun Anish. That's all the questions I have today. Thank you for joining us today. Even though the NOVA community and NOVA Symposium, or what we are currently doing is not the research, but we would like to be a part of the community that try to push forward the lower carbon emission society to be practical and realistic to be happening in Thailand. Thank you again for joining us today. See you again on the NOVA Symposium in July. Thank you so much.
It's my very pleasure, and I'm very fortunate to be part of this conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ
และในวันนี้นะคะเราก็ได้พูดคุยกันไปแล้วว่า Alternative and Innovative Energy เทคโนโลยีของพลังงานทางเลือกมีให้เลือกสรรต่างๆมากมายนะคะรวมถึงเทคโนโลยีที่เหมาะสมสำหรับประเทศไทยไม่ว่าจะเป็น PV Solar Wind แล้วก็ Waste to Energy นะคะแล้วก็การที่จะทำให้ Green Energy Solution เกิดขึ้นได้จริงในประเทศไทยเราอาจจะยังต้องพึ่งพา Green Fund หรือว่าเงินกู้เงินลงทุนดอกเบี้ยที่น่ารักนะคะและการที่พวกเรามาร่วมมือกันนะคะพัฒนาในเรื่องของ Green Energy Solution นะคะก็ช่วยป้องกันไม่ให้โลกของเรามีอุณหภูมิที่สูงขึ้นและก็ยังเป็นโลกที่น่ารักน่าอยู่สบายเหมือนเดิมค่ะ และในวันนี้เราก็ต้องขอบคุณอีกครั้งนะคะกับคุณแอนนิสซามานนะคะซึ่งเป็นสปีกเกอร์หลักสำหรับงาน The Nova Symposium ที่จะจัดขึ้นในระหว่างวันที่ 10-12 กรกฎาคมที่ Biotech บางนา งาน The Nova Symposium ได้รับเปิดรับลงทะเบียนแล้วท่านสามารถลงทะเบียนได้ที่ QR Code ด้านล่างนะคะเว็บไซต์ thenovaexpo.com ค่ะถ้าทุกท่านนะคะชอบคลิปดีๆนะคะเห็นว่าอันนี้มีสาระสำคัญน่ารักน่าแชร์นะคะท่านสามารถกดไลค์กดแชร์กด Subscribe กดกระดิ่งดังๆชวนเพื่อนมาร่วมจอยคอมมูนิตี้ของเราได้ค่ะ